What's going on, guys? So I just put out a video. I'm gonna get to the main point of this video. It's gonna be a little minute. I just want to say something that's funny. So I just put out a video that I'm disappointed in American women, and some female left a comment saying it's funny. Somebody with tattoos on their face made a video like that saying they're disappointed in women, and it said the audacity is on all-time high. And I just responded like, I think you're right, meaning like more about the tattoo, not necessarily like maybe the purpose why I made that video, or not saying I'm a perfect person. Yeah, but okay, so this video is, I don't know what I'm gonna title it, don't really know yet. But I just been reading a few things about the mind, and not just the mind, the psyche, obviously, which is psyche and the mind. Or the psyche is the mind and spirit, and soma is the body, the physiology, maybe even the biology of the body. I don't know a lot. This is what I just been gathering from reading, this past year or so. And so I just want to give some examples. This is like a cautionary thing. I just finished Jordan Peterson's book, 12 More Rules for Life. Oh, damn, card is zoomed by right now. So 12 More Rules for Life. His previous one was 12 Rules for Life. This one was Beyond Order. Beyond Order, 12 More Rules. And in it, like many books, he states, this is not like it's unique to his book. It's not something like he only came up with. It's honestly common sense. It's not necessarily good, even for males, like boys and teenagers and young men and just men in general, right? Most of the time in your youth, where you have more energy and in the primal stages of your life, why not utilize that? Like women, yes, we know that their bodies, a woman's body is valuable to her. So it's just, a lot of people had this idea. You hear 30-year-old people like, oh, I'm so old already. They usually say it when they're around other younger people, just to maybe, they don't really know what they're saying. It's kind of like when you have a belief, but then that belief is like, seems so like a strong belief when you're by yourself, but when you're around people, you're like you're around the people you kind of judge, or you kind of have an idea about their sort of way of living, or kind of like the bigger culture, the bigger environment around us that has turned them who they are. And then when you're around them, you act nice to them. Like, part of you is like, you don't agree with what they do, but when you're around them, you're just like, yeah. Or you have a belief and someone else says the other side of the belief, and you're like, it sounds like, yeah, you just kind of like just want to get along, right? And so when you walk away, you're like, oh man, like that's kind of the idea when you're around younger people. You're like, oh, I'm so old at 30, right? But it's just our habits. You're old. No, you're not. When you're in 30 or 40, you're really just getting, when your mind and your body are both balanced out. Like, yes, you're not going to be able to, but part of the physical realm, or the way you move through life, is not just how quickly you could do it or how strong you are, or how long you can actually go. Sometimes it's just strategic. It's the wisdom, the common sense, your knowledge of life, all accumulated through time and effort and experience. And so that, like, all that idea of like, oh, I'm just so old, like, that's an excuse to be fucking living like you're old and shit. Like, to be out of shape, to not continue educating yourself, settling down in life. We have people that are professors and stuff that's just settled down. People who are leaders and just settle. They settle, And what was my initial point? I got to come back to. What was it? The idea. So yes, so the mind, right? Okay, the idea that it's not necessarily just to be so like, yeah, your parents, they want to give you a better life, but sometimes they coddle you too much, right? Or they not just spoil you, they keep you too close to them. They use you as like a puppy dog to comfort themselves, and they want to shield you from the world. Why do you think why do you think in this society we like we're so locked in on somebody who came from nothing and then they achieved greatness, right? What do you think it is? It's struggle. It's knowing how to navigate this scandalous ass world. Why do you think people who sell drugs in the street with rough ass people, growing up in their natural and their circumstantial habitat where they just happen to be born in, and they survive that, whether they survived a violent attack or they were violent towards people, or they just happen to go unscathed, and happen to not like be in prison for life, and then when they go into the actual business realm of paying taxes and making money and making profit that way through legal means, they thrive because they're like, what? I used to sell drugs and my competition was the fucking murderer the next block who I used to have to be careful not to run into at the local corner store, or we used to shoot at each other and nearly almost kill each other. A couple people did die that we both considered friends, of gang culture. And so, not saying you want your kid to go through that, but because that's not all life either. I know media points to that shit, and we like to watch those movies but that's like in the realm of like hip hop music or like these documentaries that make later in life, like, oh damn, that person came up from nothing, they're from the hood, but there's people that are like, no, there's people that are thriving that didn't have to go through all that, and they're thriving in, I mean, look at Fortune 500 companies, a stock market. Those aren't gangsters, but they're maybe gangsters in their own way or whatever, because some struggle is good for people, for humans, like, so I'm getting to an idea. So in Jordan Peterson's book, obviously he's a psychologist, so he has clients, he has patients, and he mentioned this gay dude, this gay. It was a son of some parents. He happened to be a gay man, a gay young man, and he was diagnosed schizophrenia. But so he accepted it. He accepted the diagnosis, but the parents were thinking like, well, I don't think my son's schizophrenic. And so let's go get a second opinion. So I guess they got a referral to Jordan Peterson. And he said, yeah, like, and then he just describes as he's writing this, he kind of like would describe why the parents would kind of think like, well, wait a minute, I don't think my son's schizophrenic. There's something else is going on. Because schizophrenic people usually are like homeless, they're dirty, they're like incoherent, they're schizophrenic, but this guy had a job. I guess he had a boyfriend or something. He used to have a boyfriend. Well, what happened was the doctor that he went to, he told the doctor, oh, I think I'm possessed. And Jordan Peterson says, oh, no wonder the doctor probably assumed that he was schizophrenic, right? Possessed? Like, whoa, what? Wait a minute. Like, science doesn't really believe in all that type of shit, And so, I mean, I guess American science or just Western medicine, Western science. I mean, some tribal spiritual things, they'll do some spiritual cleansing. But as I've been reading, a lot of times we want to be heard. We want to talk about something. A lot of times it's just fear, the fragility of the mind. And so Jordan Peterson also mentioned this. So you guys got to be, and this is good to know, that sometimes even just any sort of like diagnosis from a doctor that's just premature, or like your first opinion, you would say, or your first diagnostic label that they put on you, could screw you over. Not only screw you over, it puts a label on you, on your medical history inside like the American, and we're from America, and the American like the data pool. You go to another doctor, oh, so you have went to the doctor before, oh, and you were actually diagnosed schizophrenia. So it's if you want to go join the military, think about, oh shit, you got a diagnosis of schizophrenia before. No, we can't, definitely not. Especially if it will do more harm, especially if that person ends up not really necessarily being schizophrenic, right? Like this scenario. So Jordan Peterson mentions that like it can only you can not only play into that, you could become that part, right? It's like, oh, you have a PTSD. Then like, oh, no wonder I'm so scared. Oh, it's just my PTSD, or I'm schizophrenic. So you're like, oh, like you could adapt to that label. So you got to be careful there, and also because it could be on your medical history, and that could kind of limit you when you try to get a job or something. And so maybe even a business loan, who the fuck knows? But so Jordan did some hypnosis on the guy. The guy was telling him like, yeah, when I'm trying to sleep, I feel like I can't move. And Jordan Peterson was thinking it was sleep paralysis. He told the guy read some books on that. And then Jordan Peterson gets some more history on him about like his upbringing. And so the young man, he tells Jordan Peterson, I grew up with two super religious parents. He said his mother literally told the mother literally told the son that like all humans were angels. They were all angels. Like there's no bad. Humans are angels. And I'm pretty sure some of you people, if you're watching this, you're probably laughing. Like she set you up for fucking failure. So that's because she's not gonna be right there protecting you all the time. You know, like it's sad. So Jordan Peterson was like, so then Jordan Peterson like gave him some book references on like kind of fucked up scenarios where things actually happen, maybe like war, things that happen in war, maybe even some authoritarian regimes and stories about them, about how evil people can actually be, and actually what may even lie within all of us, that the capabilities, just because that person did doesn't mean you don't have that capability to do it at any point in time, you know, if something crazy happens to you. So as the story went on, there was something called like somatization disorder. It's like a bodily disorder that doctors can't necessarily, it's like a phenomena thing. Like they don't really understand what's going on. Like somebody could claim like pain in their body, but then it's like, well, fuck, we can't really, we're doing tests and scans and like we can't. Well, because what happened was, I think he mentioned something about like seizures or something, but then he was talking about, Jordan Peterson was saying like, I don't believe this person had a seizure. I think they were kind of faking it in a weird way. And it's so weird the way the mind could work that way. And so I think he referenced another similar story about the somatization disorder, which had to do like some sort of something going on with the body, but the doctors couldn't really pinpoint exactly what it was. It was like a mysterious disorder. That's what somatization disorder is. And so Jordan Peterson was like talking to this young man, and he said that he had the young man had a boyfriend, and they went through a breakup that was really affected the young man. And what happened was they had got into a huge argument, and the boyfriend actually, it got physical, and I guess he pushed I don't know for certain, I think he pushed him to the ground or something. But what happened was this patient, he looked inside the eyes of the boyfriend, and he's seen that he actually wanted to hurt him. He's seen something in humans that he never seen before, like a violent side of humans that he like. So that really just fractured his whole belief in his relationship with humans and the world and himself, and that's so common though. It's almost, that's like at the core of what post-traumatic stress is, which leads to like maybe isolation, which leads to depression, which leads to anger and rage and why me, and self-pity and bitterness and malevolence, you know, and so and I really think that's a huge story. Like it's a huge story. Like it's a huge common sense. Like we don't need to go study nothing. We don't need to, like, the fact that that person thought the world was so kind, and that they thought the world was so settled for them and the world was perfect. But then when something just shattered the whole like view and perspective on life. And let me tell you another story. So this older gentleman who I become friends with, I'm not gonna say his name, keep him anonymous. He was telling me like, sometimes, you know, I just want to throw my hands up and just leave everything. I'm like, what do you mean leave? Like leave your house, your job? No, like just go and like do my own thing, because he's really tired. You know, his wife's sick. He has to take care of his 2 grandchildren. I said, well, like, I don't really know. I didn't know a lot about him at this time. I said, where's your children? Like why do you have to take care of your grandkids? Like are your kids what happened to are they doing bad for themselves? They're on drugs? Saying, no, my son is actually, he's on medication. Yeah, he's on like these anti-anxiety, depressive fucking medication, and he's going through something right now, mentally, psychologically. And so I'm like, oh, so what happened, if you don't mind me asking? He said that the son walked in on his wife having sex with somebody else, and after that just threw him off. And then so I was like, oh wow. And he told me this before I read this part of the book. And so I come back, I told him, I said, hey dude, I read this thing in a book, and I told him about the scenario, and I was like, don't like I just want to tell you about the story. Like, don't worry about the particulars and this and that. Like, don't worry about that, because he's actually a religious guy too. And so, and remember the story I told you about in the Jordan Peterson book had something kind of to do with religion too, over religious parents. So I didn't want him thinking like, oh, he's trying to compare. No. Don't worry about those particulars. Just worry about the idea of like somebody saw something shatter their whole belief system, and now they're like, what the fuck is life? Questioning life now. Like, they're just lost, right? They're lost. They might even be scared of life. Like, they're so fragile now. They were already fragile. They didn't know how fragile they actually were until it happened. They didn't really know how fragile their belief in the world was. And so, and it's hard to get out of. It's definitely hard to get out of. It's extremely hard to get out of. A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't get out of these certain things that happen to them in life. They don't. Look at what we got going on. And the worst case scenario is homelessness and drug addiction. And then it's violence and killing people and being in prison for life or being dead. Those are the worst case scenarios. A lot of people look around at where you work at. There's weird people where you work. Not weird, but different. Going through bullshit, you know? And, it's like there's levels. There's different sort of severities to things and degrees. And so I told him, hey, dude, like, I read this thing, and maybe it's kind of like similar to the mental fracture that your son went through, like, maybe he never thought his wife would do this. Maybe he never thought his wife would do this to him. And then not only because what happens in a heartbreak, you ever been heartbroken? She leaves you, and you, not that it drives you crazy, but you want to remember, you want to hold on to her. So you might be in bed, just close your eyes and just thinking like she's actually there with you, and you're holding on to her, and or maybe you want to drive yourself mad, and you're visualizing her with another person, right? And just like, oh, I can't deal with this. And even like, it's even hard to fucking sleep when your heart's broken. It's, you just want to walk around. I have a friend who just, her kind of belief in her decision making and her belief, she's younger, so she's like, fuck, how stupid and naive, because she dated some guy, he just used her for sex, and she thought he thought how she was thinking. She thought it was a reciprocal relationship, like, oh, I'm in it for loyalty, so he must be. And it was so childish, because it was so short of a experience, that now we talk, and she like kind of laughs at it, like, oh my God. And so she told me like, oh, I couldn't even eat or sleep, and my mom went to the backyard and asked if I was okay, and I told her no, because like you got to keep going. You're like, I'll go mad right here. And so imagine how we go into our head and we drive ourselves mad trying to imagine, or we try to close our eyes and try to relive that situation and picture ourselves with that person again, or try to just picture what they look like or how they felt, or you go back to the good times you had with them. But imagine actually walking in and seeing it firsthand, and that just fucking paint a picture in your head. And so I told him, like, dude, I told him all this. He's like, yeah, you know what? Like, he has a brother and a sister, and they have husbands and wives, and like, he sees them happy, and then me and my wife, his mother, we've been together for 50 years, and I'm like, bingo, there you go. Like, it makes so fucking, and he didn't really grasp it, but I told him, tell your son he needs to get out there and go live again. He needs to go and try again. He needs to go and try again. That's the moral of the story. You got to go and try again with a better compass in life, with a more realistic point of view. You need to go out there again. You need to go out there again. You got to go. You got to live. You got to live, despite, even if you're the bad person, even if you're the bad one who made it fucked up. Well, try to learn, why did you fuck up? Maybe you could be less crucial on yourself, and less critical, and less so fucking self-demoralizing on yourself. And and you can actually like forgive yourself and just understand better of what made you make a decision you made, or maybe if you could maybe think about why the other person would do that. Maybe something that your family doesn't know, like what was a sort of a sort of tendency, or maybe you didn't give her enough attention, and but you need to go out there, whatever it is. You just got to continue living, and that's the fragility. It's like something there, dude, something throws off your fucking, it could be you thought like you might not even thought these sort of things exist. Like oh, people would fucking really hurt you, or people don't like people. Some people will take out all the bullshit they've been through on you, and they don't even know it either. It's in their unconscious. A lot of bad, evil, violent people are walking around unconsciously hoping to fucking catch somebody making a mistake so they could just have an excuse to take out all the bullshit, whatever they went through as children, on you. And they'll gather up other people just like them, and they're just a little more fucked up than all the little followers they have who are just trying to people please or have daddy issues, you know? And they'll take it out on you because what their fucked up father didn't do for them, or what he actually did to them, and they cause havoc in the world. And there's a balance, so you got to keep it real, but you got to keep it real with your people you love, but you also got to tell them to be prepared, that the mind and the body, and that means training the body, train the mind to be smart and aware, but able to protect itself, you know? And these sort of beliefs, these sort of philosophies, you meet other people with the same philosophies, and you're like, okay, I could trust you. I could trust you, you could trust me. We're not going to bullshit each other. We're going to keep it real with each other. We're not going to pretend. You're going to say, yeah, I'm having a bad fucking day today. I'm pissed off. Can you give me some space? I was talking to my friend at work today, and they're dating somebody right now. And something came up where, like, I just said something slight, like okay, what happened was they had told me they're like kind of they're cohabiting, you know, they're living with somebody, and it's a Christmas Eve right now. And then as they passed by me, I thought about it again. I just like pictured that idea of like being with somebody, and like I actually pictured, it's a female. I pictured her scenario with this gentleman. We've been working together for 2 years already. She's been there longer, but I've known her for 2 years because I've been working there. She's super cool. She lets me just kind of be silly with her, and just, I'm an idiot kind of guy. I just say stupid shit. She's super cool, you know? And so I just pictured her like, you know, like in it might be apartment or something with her boyfriend, that they're getting super close and it's getting serious, and obviously, and just made me think like how nobody wants to be alone, you know? Nobody should be alone. And so I just thought about that, and then I wanted to see her, but it was like one of those things where you kind of imagine it in your mind, and you know exactly what you feel, but you don't really know how to explain it. And even if you did, maybe they just wouldn't grasp because they're busy. So I kind of told her, like, nobody wants to be alone, you know? Like, I'm glad, I'm kind of happy for you. Like I kind of, like, I want to tell, like, I see it in my head. She probably thinks I'm crazy, and she says something like, well, yeah, like, oh yeah, like, one of these things where, like, oh yeah, I could go back to that, or like being alone or something like that. And then I kind of was like, what do you mean? Like, I pretty much told her, like, see what you're doing. I said, that's like showing like a trust issue. Like, I wasn't even talking about that. You're saying, like, yeah, I could, if he's not careful, I could easily go back to just be by myself. And like, she told me her backstory. So her relationship with her father, he's kind of non-existent, but he's kind of there vaguely. And so that's her having trust issues. It's like she's waiting for whatever seems too good to be true to prove her right, you know? And so there's a balance. It's like too much, too little. You know, I told her, like, don't do that. I said, you know what? Before it's too fucking late and you self-sabotage yourself, and this is for you guys too, before you self-sabotage, how about you talk about these things? How about before waiting for one little excuse to fucking escape because you're afraid, you think it's just totally all bad, and then you're gonna just put yourself in a self-pity, like, because you're gonna feel sad because you fucking were so used to them being around, and then you're gonna tell everybody, oh, it's one little thing I didn't like, or are you gonna make it even bigger than what it was? Like, oh, there's this, you know what I mean? Like, how about we talk about these things? You know, even more when you have trust issues, even more when you're one little thing that you blow up on is not that one little thing, but it's something bigger than that. And I don't know. Easier said than done, you know. I say that as an insurance policy for my life, because when you want to give advice to people are going to look at your life and any little bad thing you're going to do. Like they're looking at Jordan Peterson's life, and he even says it in his book that he was sick. They gave him benzodiazepines, and he became addicted to it. And he's an odd guy. He's an odd dude. He's an odd dude. He has his issues too. But again, one little mistake, people are gonna attack you. You know, the news and social media news. It's all this. It's just news. It's just less regulated. It's less. It's only one person. That's their channel. They can stand in front of a camera and say what the fuck they learned or what they think they know. And as opposed to like a big corporation news outlet. Yeah, the fragility of the mind. That idea of like, you got to get back out there, man. It's hard though. I have experience with it. It's hard. Your whole life gets turned upside down. You thought you were this person the whole time, and then, like I said, nature reveals itself to you. Maybe you did so much for that one person. That was your whole life. You just did everything to please that one thing, that one object, that one sort of objective to do this correctly all the time. That's even worse when you felt like you did everything right and it still shows itself to be fleeting and imperfect and untrue to what you put truth to, the truth you created in your mind. Yeah, you got to get back out there, man. Yeah, you got to get back out there. You don't take it out on your children. You don't fucking treat them like shit. When you're looking at them, they remind you of that fucking one that betrayed you. You don't. You even teach them the opposite. You teach them to forgive. You teach them, hey, I hope they could one day find responsibility for what they did. And I do my best to forgive and look at what I could have done better for the next relationship. So that way it could be like, okay, this was handled in the best way possible. You know? The fragility. Fragility of the fragility. What should I title it? The fragility of belief. Oh.